Hi, Alan. Hi, guys. This is Alan. And I'm talking. Let's see, do I have another light here? Anyway, maybe I can fix that. I'm doing this because a lot of the target individual, I only go on a couple of them, but you notice that there's a lot of the same names that you see over and over again, and you're glad to see them. But the thing that all the chats have in common is that we all know that there are people that are called perps or people who aren't actual TIs that are paid to go in there and pretend to be TIs. We know that the people who, it's just part of it, we know it. And we got people that are part of this, that's just what goes on. They're part of it. And we know that that's what happens with a lot of it. And what happens is that there's the White House targeted individual group. You can see it on 131 Kimber, and you can see it on James Lico, Lico, the 2011 and 2012 presidential uh, bioethics, the presidential bioethics committee. And it's for targeted individuals, really. And you can find it on 131 Kimber or James Lico, Lico. And the thing is, you don't see any of those people that came from all over the United States to talk to this committee formed to investigate targeted individuals. I mean, that's the whole. It's really to investigate um, TIs and what we go through. But you don't see any of those names. The only real name that stands out that we do see is Brian Two, a person who very smart with the technological stuff, very smart. But anyway, we don't see the other people. It's almost like um, it's kind of corralled into this a group of 20 or 30 people. We know from the thing in Washington that there are TIs that there's 1,500. Some people who've spoken to 1,000. Some people who have spoken to 1,500 or 5,000. But in these um, TI chats that we literally have 20 or 30. Now, there's literally thousands of TIs, but it's as if, I mean, it's as if they literally put up some of these chats throughout different parts of the country or just parts of states and just have a finite small group and made each group look like they've got a few people from New Zealand or a person here and there with an accent from England, New Zealand, Australia, and just they have those two or three people from different states and different countries, but you don't see any of the people from the White House Symposium, the Committee on Targeted Individuals. It's like they're trying to keep people in the dark by placating people, making the TIs think that they're talking to other TIs. I mean, there might be other TIs in these rooms. There might be. I mean, I think there are genuinely some. But the real thing that they don't want to have, I know for me in the last month, they've stopped allowing me in the last month and a half, they've stopped me from even watching anything from Ella Free. They don't want me to see Ella Free anymore because, well, she's actually good. She actually does the one thing that's supposed to happen is to get TIs to meet each other and to actually get together and to be part of something. Um, the one thing I know in my own case is that their code word was for me was it's to make the people who they don't like either look dumb, mentally challenged, or something. But their code word was dumbass, which is a pretty simple thing. That's what everybody calls a person they don't like or want to make them look stupid. Just call them a dumbass. Of course, I wrote that in front of their city hall, dumbass cops. And so that became the joke that the cops in the city hall, it's like, oh, well, he kind of got back for you. You made him have to come out of a window, learn to get injured and almost died, and learn to walk again. But for a conservative Christian community, the idea of them also being known for torturing to the point of causing suicide and at the same time trying to be a pro life community, a very conservative Christian pro life community that tries to get people and torture them to the point of suicide because they get money for them. Well, they're really not much different than the Torquemadas from the Inquisition. They torture people and then take their shit, take their money, rob them, and lie. They bear false witness, if that's how they want to put it, and torture people and try to get them to commit suicide. So, again, that's, I guess, the police and City Hall there in Dallas and in Salem for that part. Um, hopefully it's going to follow them and make them. The shame will follow them. I have no doubt. The idea of them, whenever they get up and do a pro-life or a family values speech or conservative religious values, and then the History Channels, their kids and grandkids will have to watch and realize that their grandparents and their parents were part of a torture campaign, the targeted individual campaign. They were hoping that from them it wouldn't come out in another 40 or 50 years. And it's true that it may not be declassified in 40 or 50 years. But the thing is TIs, we already went to the White House, not me personally, but I didn't know what it was. But I've already gotten to the White House, and that's why there's this push to get all these TIs with V2K in and out and died or killed off in 2015, 2016, 2017, because that's when the first TI conference happened, the Unity and Hope Conference. And then 2018, the first one, and then 2018 and 19 was with Ella Free in Sacramento, and then in Portland, and I went to that one. So the thing is, we're actually meeting people and getting to meet other people. What happens when a person first finds out that they're a TI, whether through V2K or the burns or gang stalking, is that the first thing that happens is somebody's playing a joke on me, and am I the only one? And that's going to happen quite a few times, those thoughts. Why would this happen to me? Especially if you haven't hurt anybody. Why is this happening? And am I the only one this is happening to? And it could be quite a while. It could be another year, year and a half, 2 years, 3 years, where you finally look online and realize, no, this is happening to other people. And so the thing is, it's hard for us to even find. There are some good chats out there, but just be aware there are perps, perpetrators. That's the official word that we call them. There are people who claim to be TIs, targeted individuals, who aren't TIs. They go in there and then they start shit, and they start telling everybody else who's a real TI, who's not a TI. This person said this to me, or this person did this mean thing to me, so they're not going to be a real TI. And that happens a lot. Somebody gets mad at somebody, and then or something happens, and then they're not a real TI because this and that. And it's really hard to say. Somebody who gets mad at somebody suddenly is not a TI now. And the thing is, it's hard to prove. It's hard to find out who really is, because so much of it has to do with wireless technology that they've been able to use an actual, forgive the term, but a medical device that they can input inside of a person, or an implant, even if that's the right word, and then use that. And it's so small, or it can be hidden in the tissue of a person to where you can't delineate from our technology what is skin and what is the actual implant, because it can be easily hidden. We don't know. The only thing is, when you have V2K, you just know you can hear a couple people constantly yapping. Anyway, it's a weird thing when you're from a small town, a religious conservative town that you've lived since you're 6 years old, and you never got in trouble, and you never had a police or city hall or didn't have anything, and then suddenly they come after you and start all this, to the point where you end up jumping out of a window. And then you realize that it's the very police and the city hall that were part of this. And you're thinking, well, what did I do? I never did anything to anybody, ever. Literally ever. And it's like, nope, they got money from the government to do it, and the doctors did, and they covered it up and then made you feel something to make you feel like you're partly responsible, or you brought this on yourself. And it's like, you can look upon your life and realize, man, I haven't done anything to anybody. I've never even written a mean word online. I've never joined a political group. I've never done anything against or written anything mean about anybody. But they'll still try to make you feel like you must have done something. You looked at uh, a rated R movie, or maybe you didn't go to church on Sunday or something. Just something pissant to try to make you feel guilty, and then make you try to kill yourself, because that'll bury, if it is an implant or the torture tech, um, by being buried, you'll be buried along with the evidence, the technology. If it's implants, you'll be buried. The implant will be buried along with you in a coffin, or burned in a cremation. The government does not want the actual evidence. I'm certain that the doctors, whoever they pay a lot of money to, but they have to do a lot of non-disclosure agreements, saying if you ever admit this to anybody, they're going to ruin the life of their families, ruin the lives of their families, and the government will stalk them no matter what state, what city, what country, that the U.S. government will haunt them and their family and their children's children. And so they make them and scare the shit out of them, and saying, you will, in essence, if you're a doctor, you will never have a career if you say a word about this to anybody. Non disclosure. And it seems to work, unless you work for the Trump White House, because everybody in the Trump White House who signs non disclosure agreements seems to be writing books every other week, talking shit about Trump or talking shit about John Bolton, Omarosa. Uh, I don't know about Kelly, but they're all writing books against him. So the people that worked for him, that said they liked him, now that they're out of the White House, they don't like him. And Scaramucci, there's just a ton of them. And then you got conservatives who worked at Fox News, who defended Trump and defended Bush and all that. But now that they're no longer at Fox News, now they can't wait to write a book against Fox News and against Roger Ailes and against all the right wing stuff they had to put up with, and all the women for being flirted with, and all this kind of stuff. So much for the non-disclosures. But when it comes to the targeted individual program, it seems like the doctors are willing to sacrifice their legacy and the legacy of their children. Um, they're just going to keep doing this, sacrificing the legacy of their children and grandchildren. Anyways, TIs, we know that a lot. I know that a lot of the people that live around here, where I live, um, and are actually in on it. A lot of the neighbors, the noise complaints. And, well, I've never complained about it, but just noise issues, noise campaigns. A lot of the people they move in or just give them money to do all this harassment or whatever. And I'm used to it, so it doesn't really get me anymore. I just think it's more funny. So, but if you're not used to it when it first you happen, it does throw you for a loop. So, but outside of that, outside of the little noise things, um, it makes you think that, well, this is the United States and their no-touch torture. It is menacing. In fact, I got injured and I had to learn to walk again. Fell out of a window and got injured in my ear. Had broke my arms. But now that I know, it makes you think, my God, they spent trillions of dollars on this technology. And it makes you realize why the United States had to wait 18 years in Iraq and Afghanistan, and just how much the United States does suck, and why, whether it's Vietnam, you can spend years in a country like Vietnam and still not win. Vietnam, all the money, all the tech that the United States had. My own dad is a rifle instructor in Vietnam at Camp Pendleton back in the 70s and 60s. And it's like, all this technology, all this shock and awe. And then after 10 years of thinking you're just going to kick their ass like in the first Gulf War, all that shock and awe now becomes, aw, shucks. I mean, it's just like, yeah, it was great at the beginning, but now it's just this long day in, day out, just boring. And it makes the government look stupid and shitty and bad with all this great technology and shock and awe. And after days and months and weeks and months and years, now it's just, ah, shucks. The government is really that stupid. They are cruel. Their technology is great, but they never have an escape plan or how to fit. They just don't. They never have. They can start something amazing, shock and awe, but when it doesn't work the way they want it to work, like in the targeted individual program, if the people don't totally die, then it's a total fuck up for the U.S. government, and that includes Salem. It brings Salem, the capital, looking stupid. Dallas, a little religious town full of Mennonites, normally I think good people. It makes the city hall look dumb as shit and cruel for a conservative Christian community to be part of a torture campaign like it's the Spanish Inquisition or the Crusades. You would think, wouldn't this harm the reputation of Dallas being a Christian community? Yeah, you think it would. But even with the George Floyd marches and the thing against police brutality, that Dallas still went along with it. They didn't say, "Hey, Alan, we're sorry. Here's some money. We're really sorry that you had to spend $100,000 in debt or go in debt to learn how to walk again because of their cruelty." Nope, not even with all the things about police brutality and torturing people. Um, Still, the rest of the world is yelling at towns like Dallas and Salem, "Hey, police, don't torture people. Don't go after people that are black or colored or brown. Don't go after anybody and torture them to death." I mean, it's kind of a slam dunk easy decision, don't you think? I'm not sure if it's time for defunding the police to where the police don't exist, but I do know, and all targeted individuals know, that when they can spend billions of dollars on this type of technology, V2K and all this, and to have two people 24/7 to talk shit about you, telling you should off yourself, kill yourself and all this, and torture you, um, then that's something about, yeah, maybe that should be defunded. There's homeless people here in Salem, in Dallas, maybe. But yeah, we can defund our own government some billions of dollars so that, homeless people and moms and kids who are homeless or who go through medical, um, with, going through bankruptcy because of a medical issue, and suddenly they have to be bankrupt. I mean, at least in those Canadian liberal socialist countries, that cuss word socialism, they don't have to worry about being ruined because of a medical bankruptcy. So, anyway, I'm not sure about defunding the police entirely because you need to have somebody in there, but when they're blowing this many billions of dollars to have the TI program to get people to kill themselves, literally torture them to see what works and what doesn't work on people, to take their emotions, to literally torture a person to the point to where they don't have their emotions anymore, to beat them down spiritually and emotionally to such a degree. And then from the town's perspective, well, hopefully they'll come to Jesus and then they can die and kill themselves, and then we can have a funeral, make money off that, and then say, oh, well, they came to Jesus and now they're in heaven. Well, in my own case, I left Christianity because of it. And I studied to be a minister and an apologist for Christianity. But because of its programs, like, no, there's a fine tuner and I'll pray to God. But because of the shitty witness of the town where I'm from, Dallas, their Christian witness by doing this, I just think a good tree cannot bring forth bad fruit. It can't bring bad fruit. So it's kind of like that this whole city hall would be part of something so evil. It's almost like God's way of telling me, at least, that I don't need to believe what they believe. And I certainly don't need to have OCD and scrupulosity over it. I don't need to be tortured with scrupulosity. Do I believe the right way or the wrong way? The Catholic, Protestant, Mormon, whatever. I just, no. Just have any kind of spirituality or none if I need it. So, Anyway, I'll make more videos later. I'm going to try to fix this lighting because it's shitty and you guys can't see me. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later, okay? Down.